The steam had barely fogged the mirror when Adaeze heard the balcony window shatter. The hot water beat down Adaeze Okonkwo's back like a second heartbeat. 16 hours at Gangnam General Hospital. 2 cardiac arrests. 1 screaming mother who didn't speak a word of English. And now, finally, this steam, silence, and the smell of shea butter body wash she'd shipped from Lagos because Seoul stores didn't carry it. She was humming a low Fela Kuti melody when she heard it.
Who's there?
Glass. Breaking.
I know you're there.
Downstairs. Her hand froze on the shampoo bottle. Thieves don't break balcony windows, some quiet, clinical part of her brain noted. They pick locks. Then came the voices. Sharp Korean. Urgent. Deliberate. Second floor. Check the second floor. He's bleeding, he can't have gone far. Adaeze cut the shower. Grabbed her towel. Pressed herself against the bathroom wall, heart slamming against her ribs in a rhythm she recognized from resuscitations. The primal kind. The something is very wrong kind. The voices multiplied downstairs. At least 4 men. Heavy boots on hardwood. She crept to the bathroom door and eased it open 1 centimeter. Steam spilled into the dark hallway. And standing in the doorway of her guest room, dripping blood onto her wooden floor, one hand braced against the doorframe, the other clutching a gun, was the most terrifyingly beautiful man she had ever seen in her life. Tall. Korean. Built like someone had sculpted him out of consequence. His black shirt was shredded, soaked dark red from a wound in his abdomen he was barely keeping closed with his own palm. A serpent tattoo climbed up his neck and disappeared behind his ear. His jaw was clenched. His eyes, heavy-lidded, dark as the Han River at midnight, found hers immediately. They both went completely still. Find him. Boss wants him alive enough to suffer. The voice drifted from the stairwell. The man looked at Adaeze. His gun hand dropped an inch, just 1 inch, and something in his expression shifted. Not softness. Not exactly. More like a man who had stopped calculating and started hoping. He pressed 1 finger to his lips. Adaeze stood there in her towel, shampoo still in her hair, staring at a bleeding armed man in her hallway, and did the thing that 16 hours of emergency nursing had trained her body to do before her mind could argue. She assessed. Gunshot wound. Left lower quadrant. Blood loss significant but not arterial. He'd be unconscious already if it were. Pallor setting in. He's got maybe 10 minutes conscious. Who are you? She breathed. He opened his mouth. What came out was barely sound. Korean. 2 words she knew from the hospital's romance drama playing on the breakroom TV every afternoon. Ne sarang. My love. Then his knees buckled. Adaeze caught him. All 6'1" of him, all muscle and dead weight and blood soaking immediately into her towel. She grunted, staggered, locked her knees, and held. Don't call police, he whispered in English, accented and fraying at the edges. Please. Then he was gone. Out cold. Upstairs. She had maybe 30 seconds. The doorknob to her hallway rattled. This room, check it. Adaeze dragged him. It was not graceful. It was not quiet. It was a 27-year-old Nigerian nurse in a towel hauling an unconscious Korean crime lord across her floor using pure adrenaline and the same stubborn muscle memory that had kept her standing through double shifts since she was a student in Lagos. She got him into the guest room. Locked the door. Pressed her back against it and listened. Footsteps. Right outside. A phone rang. Someone answered. A beat of silence. She was spotted on Itaewon side. Move out. The boots retreated. The front door slammed. She counted to 300 before she moved. He was still breathing. Barely. Adaeze pulled her first aid kit from under the sink and stared at the unconscious man bleeding on her guest room floor. She should call the police. She should call the hospital. She should scream. Instead, she sterilized tweezers over her stove flame and got to work. The bullet came out in 22 minutes. She stitched the wound with dental floss, not textbook, but her grandmother had once stitched her grandfather's machete wound with fishing line and the man had lived to 90. Adaeze pressed the bandage firm, sat back on her heels, and breathed. Only then did she see it. Tucked in his torn breast pocket. A gold ring. She held it to the light. Inside, an inscription. GR. Always. Who did you lose? She whispered. She tied his wrists to the bedpost with extension cords, grabbed her baseball bat, and sat in the chair to wait for morning. He called a stranger my love before he even opened his eyes. What does he know that Adaeze doesn't? Drop a like and subscribe if you are enjoying this story. He woke at dawn with the kind of stillness that told Adaeze he'd woken in dangerous places before. No panic. No confusion. Just eyes opening, scanning the ceiling, and then finding her. She lifted the bat. "Good morning," she said. He tested the extension cords. Winced. Looked at his stitches with something approaching professional respect. "Why am I tied up?" "Because you broke into my home with a gun and passed out on my floor. I don't know you." "Fair." A pause. Ryun Baek. "Is that supposed to mean something to me?" "Not yet." His jaw shifted. "But it will." He told her in pieces. He was heir to the Obsidian Court, Seoul's oldest criminal syndicate, predating 3 governments. For 11 years, he had been their most effective instrument. 43 confirmed eliminations. No evidence. No witnesses. They called him Eomneong, Shadow Tongue, because he was so quiet his targets never heard him coming. "And GR?" Adaeze asked. She held up the ring. The silence that followed was a different kind than all the others. "My wife." His voice dropped to something she felt in her sternum. "She died 4 months ago. Our wedding night." GR Kwon had been the only daughter of the Crimson Dragon faction, the Obsidian Court's century-long rival. Their marriage was supposed to end a war. Ryun had believed it. GR had believed it harder. What neither believed was that Ryun's own blood aunt, Madame Ryun Baek, the true power behind the Obsidian Court, had arranged the hit herself. Because Ryun's marriage to GR threatened to dissolve the Obsidian Court's monopoly on Seoul's underground economy. Because peace, to Madame Ryun, was just another word for losing. The attack came during the reception. Gunmen in the kitchen. GR's father shielding them toward the exit. Ryun getting her to the car, getting her moving, almost getting her out. Until the bridge. Until the river. His voice didn't break. That was somehow worse than if it had. "I surfaced. She didn't. I've been moving every 72 hours since." Adaeze set down the bat. "You need to leave Seoul," she said. "I know. I have a contact in Busan who can get us new documents. But I can't move alone. I'm too recognizable. Too hunted." His eyes found hers. But a foreign nurse and her Korean-American boyfriend visiting from Chicago? No one looks twice. "No. They'll come back to this building, Adaeze. The moment they pull the security footage." "How do you know my name?" "Your hospital badge. It fell out of your scrub's pocket when you dragged me." A ghost of something crossed his face. "You dragged me. By yourself." "I'm Nigerian. We don't leave people on floors." She stood up, pacing. 1 week. You contact your people in Busan. We get you new papers. You disappear and I go back to my actual life. Agreed. And you sleep on the couch. Obviously. She began untying the extension cords. "If you try anything, you know exactly where to hit to cause maximum damage. I believe you." He sat up slowly, testing his stitches. His eyes tracked around her apartment, the nursing textbooks, the framed photo of her mother outside their Lagos compound, the small pot of aguzi she hadn't finished 2 nights ago. Something in his expression shifted. "You gave up a lot to come here." "I gave up the wrong things," she said. "I'm trying to find the right ones." Her phone buzzed. Hospital. Emergency coverage needed. She grabbed her bag. Paused at the door. "Don't answer the door. Don't go near the windows. There's jollof in the fridge." "Jollof? Rice dish. It'll change your life. Don't touch the stew, that one's mine." She was almost out when he spoke. "Why did you help me? Last night. You didn't have to. Adaeze looked back at him. At this dangerous, grieving, impossible man sitting on her guest bed in borrowed clothes, holding a wedding ring that wasn't hers. Because you said my love before you even knew if I was someone worth trusting, she said. That either means you're a fool or you've been very alone. Either way. She shrugged. I'm a nurse. She left before he could answer. She didn't see him press his fist against his mouth and close his eyes. She patched up the most dangerous man in Seoul and left him jollof rice. He's already gone. Drop a heart if you felt that last line and need the next part immediately. The woman at the hospital was watching Adaeze the way predators watch exits. She appeared at the end of Adaeze's shift, tall, porcelain-skinned, wearing a white designer coat that cost more than Adaeze's visa fees. Ryun Song. Adaeze didn't know the name yet. She only knew the smile. Patient. Absolute. The kind that meant someone had already decided how a story ended. Their eyes met across the lobby. Ryun smiled and walked away. Adaeze texted Ryan before she reached the subway. We have a problem. White coat. Hospital. She knows. He called immediately. How fast can you get home? I'm running. She burst through her door to find him already standing at the window, gun drawn, curtains barely parted. Ryun Song, he said. Madame Suyun's personal operative. She was my fiancée before GR. The arrangement my aunt made. His voice was controlled, but his knuckles weren't. She didn't take the rejection quietly. The phone rang. Unknown number. Adaeze answered it on speaker. The voice was honey poured over ice. Nurse Okonkwo. What a long shift you must have had. Adaeze said nothing. I'll be direct. I know he's with you. I know he's been with you for weeks. I have the building security footage, I have your hospital schedule, and I have 12 people between you and every exit in that neighborhood. A pause. Dinner. Tomorrow. 8 o'clock. Yongsan Private Dining, the Obsidian Court's house. Come alone. Come cooperative. Or I start making calls to immigration. The line went dead. Ryan was already moving, pulling up contacts. We're not going to dinner, Adaeze said. We have no choice. We have every choice. Listen. She grabbed his arm, stopped him. She wants you rattled. She wants us running so she can pick us off clean. So we don't run. We walk in. She'll see through any cover. Not if the cover is the truth. Adaeze met his eyes. 3 months, recovering from an accident. Foreign girlfriend. Quiet life. Trying to leave everything behind. That's not a lie, Ryan. That's just edited. He looked at her for a long moment. Something moved behind his eyes that she couldn't name yet. It has to be convincing. Then let's practice. They spent the night building a life on paper. Photos. Backdated. Stories. Cross-referenced. His favorite meal was now her jollof rice. He'd eaten 2 bowls that afternoon, quietly stunned. Her most embarrassing habit was falling asleep during action movies. His was narrating soccer matches to himself. They laughed once, genuinely, when she asked what he'd say if Ryun asked how they kissed the first time. I'd say you initiated, he said. Absolutely not. You're very forward. I barely know you. You tied me to a bedpost. She threw a throw pillow at him. At 8 the next evening, they walked into the Yongsan house hand in hand. Adaeze wore black. Ryan wore a charcoal suit that made him look like someone who had never been anything but legitimate. Ryun was already seated. Madame Ryun Baek, ancient, scarred, terrifyingly still, sat beside her. The dinner was a dissection. Every answer a scalpel. Every question designed to find the seam where the story split. It held. Until Ryun placed a photograph on the table. Security footage. Ryan entering Adaeze building the night of the crash. Bleeding. Unmistakable. Show me your ribs, Madame Ryun said quietly. The room shifted. And then the lights died. The doors came off the hinges with a sound like a held breath finally released. Crimson Dragon soldiers, Giara's family's people, flooded the room in seconds. At their front walked a man Ryun clearly hadn't expected. Giara's uncle, Daewon Kwon, who had been hunting the truth about that wedding night for 4 months. He wasn't there for Ryun. He was there for Madame Suyun. In the chaos, Adaeze pulled Ryun toward the service exit. He caught her hand. They ran through the kitchen, through the alley, into the Seoul night that smelled like rain and fried street food and a future that was suddenly, impossibly, still possible. They made Incheon port by midnight. A contact's boat. New documents waiting in Busan. Then a flight. On the water, Adaeze pressed her hand over his bandaged wound to check the stitches held. "Still scared?" he asked. "Terrified," she said. "You?" He looked at her the way he'd looked at her that first night. Like she was the only solid thing. "For the first time in 4 years," he said. "No." 6 months later, a small clinic opened in Seoul, Lagos. Okonkwo Baek Medical Center. The sign was her idea. The name was his suggestion. Quiet and certain over morning coffee. He had learned to make age bread. She had learned 3 Korean lullabies. Neither of them looked back. From a bathroom break-in to a Lagos sunrise, did this story wreck you? Share this with someone who needs a love story that actually earned it. Comment below, should we follow what happens when Harun's shadow reaches Lagos?